Okay, I think we are ready. Hello and welcome to this evening's event. My name is Signe, even though another name is written on Zoom. My name is Signe, and I'm a volunteer here in ActionAid Denmark. Just very briefly introducing the organization. ActionAid Denmark is a part of ActionAid International, where we do a lot of work, national and international, with a focus on fighting inequalities. One way we are doing so is that we have our non-profit cafes. We have one here in Copenhagen and one here in Aarhus, where I'm sitting. And this year, our profit from the cafes are going to Uganda, where our colleagues on the Global Platform in Uganda are doing an excellent work. So now that Uganda are going to elect their new president tomorrow on the 14th of January, we really appreciate that we are able to host this event tonight, where our colleague David is going to talk about the political situation in Uganda, the election, and also the work that they are doing. I will say it's our first time doing an event like this, so there's a bit of technical stuff involved, but we hope that everything will go right, and we just really appreciate that you, David, will be here tonight. But I think that was everything I wanted to say first, and maybe David, if you will start introducing yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Signe. Thank you very much, everyone that has organized this event. And I want to say hello to the viewers and the listeners in Aarhus, Copenhagen, and all over the world, and especially here also in Uganda. My name is David Nyaribi. I am also known as the ambassador of possibilities because I speak to inspire, to motivate, and to empower young people. In terms of work, I work with the Global Platform Uganda, which is also under ActionAid Uganda International. And I work there as a leadership and governance trainer. In addition to that as well, I am the national focal person of the Activism Uganda Youth Movement. This is a youth movement that is operating under ActionAid Uganda, and it has structures from all over the country where the LRPs, the local rights program, and the clusters are. So I am happy to be here, but of course I'm also a young person from Uganda. I am still a youth and a part of the youth activities, youth movement, and also a person that is working to make Uganda, to make Africa, and to make the world a better place. So I'm excited and happy to be here this evening on the eve of an election that is going to take place tomorrow, where we are hoping and believing that for the very first time in 35 years, we shall get a new president and members of parliament. Yes. Yeah, so my presentation will be short, but quality, I hope, and everyone should be able to enjoy it. But also we should be able to draw lessons and also to be able to connect. And I will finish my presentation, I think, with a call to action from friends like you and everyone else that can do something online and to be in solidarity with us. So tomorrow, the 14th of January 2021, Uganda is going to have a general election. And on the 14th, we shall elect two key positions. The first one is the one of the president. And then the second one will be the members of parliament. So we shall elect the president and the members of parliament. This is drawn from the constitution, which was promulgated and accepted and adopted in 1995, which recommended that we can have elections every 5 years so that people can elect and either give endorsement to the president and members of parliament to continue, or actually change them. And in the constitution, we had the presidential term limits, meaning that every president could only serve 2 times, that is 5 years, 2 times of 5, that would be 10 years maximum. And then also we had the age limit, where the president could serve only up to 75 years of age, meaning that beyond 75, the president would not qualify, more so the incumbent or anybody else who is above 75 years would not contest for the presidency. But for the last, ever since this constitution came into place, we have only had one president who should have left in 2001, but then through manipulation, through bribery and intimidation, the members of parliament were forced to remove the term limits. So the term limits were removed, meaning that the president continue to be elected as many times as possible. We were sure that we would have the president leave at 75. So as I speak now, he's 76, but in 2017, he still again manipulated parliament, intimidated the Ugandans, and there was actually a fight in parliament, and then the age limit was removed. Every member of parliament was bribed. Some of them refused and took back the money. Those that did not accept to vote in favor of the removal have actually in this election suffered a lot of intimidation and a lot of work against them. So the age limit was removed, and that's why we have an incumbent who is contesting again when he's beyond 75 years of age. The president, okay, from the known age, he says he's 76, but some of us and the way we see him, we think that he could be slightly older, maybe 80. So that makes this election very unique. It makes it a protest election, protest vote. And what is also unique about this particular election is that the young people are the majority. We are the majority, people that were born 86 and above, who are young people, majority are young people. And on the voters register, the majority are still young people who have now the desire to have change and to see the country improve. One of the key things that the current president and the current government presides itself in is to have brought peace and security. But over time, that same peace and security has been eroded. There is a lot of insecurity, there is a lot of corruption, there is a lot of tribalism, there is a lot of nepotism. It is true in the beginning of this regime, 90 to 95 and before, there was a bit of, progress in terms of infrastructure, progress in terms of improvement in security. But all this, like the economists say, we reached a point of diminishing returns, where the longer stay of the president has now brought diminishing returns. The country is seemingly not moving forward, but actually deteriorating. Our budget has increased, but the service delivery has not improved to the same proportion. We have had a lot in the increasing in the members of parliament have increased. We are a small country of about 45 million people, but with a big parliament, we're now going to 500. So there's just quite a lot. So some of these things are the ones that make this election unique and make this election to be as tensional and contested as it has been. So over time, we have had members of opposition, people that think that we can have an alternative government, where we had the retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who came through in 2001, and then 2006, 2011, and finally came through even in 2016. So he's not on the ballot. But we have 11 candidates that are vying for the presidency. Among the 11 is the incumbent, but the one that is on the opposition side and who is leading currently in the polls, the opinion polls, is once an artist who has turned a politician, and people are saying from the ghetto to the parliament and now from the parliament to the presidency, and that is Bobi Wine. who is also known as Honorable Kyagulanyi Sentamu. He's been singing music and doing advocacy and lobbying. Actually, as ActionAid, we have also, previously, when we were creating our country strategic paper 5 that we currently use to implement, we had him on some of our anti-corruption caravans. So he has been an activist, he has been advocating and lobbying and using activism, art and activism through music, through poems, through spoken word to advocate for a better country. And he was able to come to parliament to represent a particular constituency, but now he is vying for the presidency of the Republic of Uganda. And young people resonate with him, young people are supporting him, young people, and even the old people listen to his music. So he's a known figure, he's loved, he's cherished, but throughout the campaign process, he has faced a lot of, together with the team that is supporting him, plus any other young person that is supporting the process, have faced a lot of challenges and a lot of intimidation. There's been a lot of arbitrary arrests. There's been a lot of threats coming to the people. As I speak currently, his family has been flown to the United States because they were direct targets. They were supposed to be, from what we hear, they were targeting his family so that they could coerce him into subjugation, so that whatever they would tell him to do, he would do, because his family was a target. And the family, the children are minors. They don't vote. They are not engaged in the electoral process, but they were becoming targets. So he, through friends in the diaspora, he was able to take his family to the United States. But for him and the wife are here, plus other opposition players. We have retired generals, the former army commander Mugisha Muguntu, also part of the process in terms of contesting. We also have the Forum for Democratic Change, which is also presenting a candidate. So, but a lot has happened. If I may just add to some of the challenges that have come through. First of all, the election period, which is supposed to be 3 months when the campaigning is declared, was reduced to 2 months, from 90 days to 60 days, to favor the president, the incumbent, President Museveni, who, for him, he already had airtime and he was on TV all the time during the COVID period. From March 2020, he was addressing the nation almost every week, after every 2 days. He was moving all over the country, even when the country was in lockdown. So he already has an advantage, but then reduced the days of campaigning from 90 to 60. As if that was not enough, even some districts were cordoned off and were isolated and selected and said, these particular districts, you cannot go and campaign because there is a surge in the number of the COVID-19 cases. And these particular districts are the ones where the opposition has a lot of support, and where the opposition needed to galvanize and kind of have more cohesion, to have more support. But the president, through the Electoral Commission, which is extremely biased, they banned campaigning in these districts. And then, but for the president, he started to launch projects. He's opening roads, he's opening hospitals, he's opening markets, he's moving all over the place. Actually, there's been a lot of fun that even if you have a birthday party, you may invite the president and he may come, because he's just basically all over the place, opening everything and everything. But the beauty is that the opposition has sold their own. Honorable Kyagulanyi Sentamu, the common one known as Bobi Wine, has endured all these challenges. His team, over 100 people, are incarcerated. They are in prisons, different prisons all over the country. They have been denied bail. They have been denied access to lawyers. They have banned the aspect of the journalists covering their stories. So it had become very, very difficult. But Honorable Bobi Wine is quite resilient. The young people are quite resilient. They are very much in for this. So as the Global Platform, you remember I started by saying I work for the Global Platform. Knowing that this election was going to come up, we needed to have some particular trainings customer tailored to this, towards the election. So we have held a number of civic education trainings, which trainings are supposed to empower the young people to know exactly how the electoral process happens, what their role can be, because previously young people have been used in the election as hecklers, as noisemakers, basically to promote the old people. But in this particular election, many young people have been encouraged to directly stand and compete for these positions. For example, people that have gone through the trainings of the Global Platform, over 150 are vying for posts directly in this particular election. Some at local council levels, some as mayors. We even have some vying as mayors and members of parliament, which is very, very nice. We even have some that have gone through unopposed. So the Global Platform has played a part there. But we have also had trainings on servant leadership, where we have strongly highlighted qualities of a good leader and what a good leader should look like. We have also used it of the feminist lens, and we are grateful for the partnership and support that we have with the Global Platform of House, because through the cafe, they were able to give us a fund and a grant that we are using amazingly well to reach out to young female leaders and capturing and amplifying their voices. So in this particular election, through the support that we received from Global Platform House, we are going to have more young ladies, not just the men, but the young ladies also in positions of leadership, so they can move the agenda of gender equality. They can encourage more young women to be in leadership, and this is what we want. Because as more young women come into leadership, the society will become better, there will be equality, and we shall be reducing inequalities. We have also had trainings on good governance, where we have strongly brought out the 8 principles of good governance, issues of accountability, participatory leadership, issues of equality, and all these in the trainings that so we have been very deliberate to make sure that the Global Platform, ActionAid in general, we have a positive effect and a positive impact on this election, despite all the hurdles that we have faced. Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you now, in our country, Facebook is down, WhatsApp is down, Twitter is down, Google Play Store is down, the App Store is down. You cannot download these applications. And the reason is because the opposition, with the leadership of Bobi Wine, who is vying for the presidency, they came up with an application called YouVote, which is supposed to help capture information at the electoral polling stations so that we can reduce on aspects of fraud and aspects of rigging. But as we speak, Facebook is down, Twitter is down, WhatsApp is down, the stores are down, and even the internet. At some point, we really think on tomorrow as we vote, certainly the internet will go off. We experienced this in 2016. So we have first also spoken to many young people to download VPN so that they can be on. And some friends from Denmark and other places have been telling us to also download Signal so that we can stay on and be able to circumvent any obstacles and challenges from the government. So this is a revolutionary election. This is a protest election where the young people plus the opposition are saying enough is enough. We appreciate the incumbent. We are calling him now, the young people are calling him the outgoing president. We appreciate whatever he did, but certainly he cannot continue because we don't think there are fresh ideas that are coming through. We don't think the corruption is going to end. We don't think the human rights abuses are going to end. We don't think that women leadership is going to be amplified and uplifted as it should be, because the country is taking a different path. The path that the country has taken is not the right one. Where in a campaign period, a presidential candidate is wearing a helmet, a war helmet, is wearing a bulletproof coat. It is almost like a war. And then journalists are being beaten. Just yesterday, the Inspector General of Police was saying that the journalists are being beaten to protect them from being beaten. So that was so confusing. You beat us, you beat journalists in order to prevent them from being beaten. So that was so confusing. And as I speak now, I am speaking from the capital in Kampala, but the streets, you may think it is a war zone because there is deployment of the army. Very serious combat military officers are on the streets. There is deployment of the police. And actually what is worrying us even the more, some of these army men are speaking in French and in foreign languages, meaning that they may not even be part of the Ugandan army. So we think that the incumbent and the government has brought forces from outside Uganda to be on the streets, so that when they are beating us, and perhaps we are crying in our own mother languages and crying in our languages, we will not be understood and be caned thoroughly. So that is the kind of atmosphere we are operating in, but we have encouraged every young person. Personally, I am working for change because I believe that enough is enough, and we have gathered other young people, and the young people are working. The leaders of the opposition, Honorable Kyagulanyi Bobi Wine is working. The Patrick Oboya Amriat of the FDC is working. The retired General Mugisha Muntu is working. And also we are working with partners of ActionAid, partners from all over the place. The Democratic Governance Facility is supporting in providing some support for observers, because the issue is we are sure that the young people we shall overwhelmingly vote and bring change. The challenge is protecting the vote and the winner being announced. We have had about 2 previous elections where the retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye clearly won. In every village, in almost every urban center, he won, and the country was prepared for victory. Only to, just like we went to bed last night and we woke up this morning when the WhatsApp and Twitter are off, we went to bed when the polls were reading that the opposition was leading in 2016. When we woke up in the morning, the Electoral Commission chairperson was shivering and reading things that were not the ones, reading that the president had won. So we are trying to work and see that that particular aspect does not repeat itself. So there is a lot of advocacy for vote protection. We are urging young people to come and vote in large numbers, and even the old people. There are so many old people who are also happy and longing for change because they deserve better infrastructure. They deserve a more disciplined army. We deserve better hospitals. We deserve better schools. We need to move because this country is blessed. Uganda is a blessed country. Uganda is a country rich with minerals. We have a lot of fauna and flora. For tourism, we have the water. We wouldn't be talking about drought. We wouldn't be talking about, Uganda can actually feed the region. It can feed Africa because the fertile soils are here, the rivers are here, the lakes are here, and the people are here to work. But in an environment where the leaders of today have taken portions of land, there are evictions, there is corruption, the education is warped, the hospitals have no medicines, the doctors are poorly paid. So there is really need for change, and the opposition is preaching and speaking in that direction, that we need change so that we can have all this. So some of the key things that need to happen when leadership changes is to mitigate or completely eradicate corruption, to also reduce government expenditure. Because we saw it that during the corona period, when everyone could not move out of the country, that's when people were waking up that the hospitals don't have medicine, because even the government officials could now not go to the US, could not come to Denmark, could not come to all these good places where the hospitals are better and the schools are better. So that's when they were saying we now need to do better. But I think it is time up for this particular government. It is time up for the president. Even in age, he's way beyond, and also the country is not getting better. So that is what is happening. But in a nutshell, there's a lot of intimidation. Some young people have been killed. In November, there were riots when Honorable Bobi Wine was arrested because he was campaigning. So young people went onto the street to demonstrate peacefully initially, but they were shot at, they were caned, and then they became a bit violent, and then they were shot at and killed. Over 54 people were killed. Actually, we believe that it is over 100, but the government reported that 54. And these murders have continued to happen. Boxers are being killed, maybe because they think that they could train young people to be violent. They have been killed. Kidnaps are happening, arbitrary arrests are happening. And when you are arrested, the courts and the judicial officials receive orders so that justice is not given in the time that it's supposed to be given. So all this is happening. The opposition candidates were blocked from going to many places. They would actually divert them to rural roads that are impassable. They would tear gas them. They would prevent them from reaching other places. And when they would go, because initially the Electoral Commission said that this election should be scientific, basically on radio and on TV. But then when the candidates would go to the TV and to the radio stations, these stations are switched off. Some of them, they are prevented from entering. So everything has been done to make sure that there is no change. But again, the changes of force, the force of change has also been working very strongly to make sure that there is change. So tomorrow we are in for an election after having undergone all these challenges, but we are resilient. We know that progress does not come on a silver plate. We must work for it. We must fight for it. We must do all that it takes for us to be able to have the change that we have, so that we want. So I am urging friends all over the world, friends of Uganda, those that are to become friends of Uganda, to stand in solidarity with Uganda, to stand in solidarity with the youth of Uganda, to stand in solidarity with organizations, because there has also been an allegation that there are foreign forces funding the processes in Uganda. And we have been telling government that, wait a minute, over half of our budget comes from friends all over the world to fund the activities. And when the money arrives here, it actually doesn't do the work that it is meant to do. So we are saying, of course, it would be welcome that we could receive support like this kind of support that we are receiving to make Uganda better. But it's been said that the support we are receiving is to destabilize the country, that we are becoming rebels and we want to overthrow the government. That is all kind of propaganda that has been misleading. But we call upon every young person out there, every friend of Uganda, and those intending to become friends of Uganda, to stand with us in solidarity, to post on their social media pages with hashtags of Stop Police Brutality. We want a free, fair, and credible election. And certainly, when this change happens, I believe that when Uganda is better, Africa is better, and the world is better. So thank you so much. I will take some questions on any specific areas that need clarity, and some of them that I may have skipped or omitted in my presentation. But Uganda is a country that will still be here after elections, and we hope to be strong and alive to enjoy the change that we are bringing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David, for your talk and for the amazing work that you and your colleagues are doing to engage youth. Yeah, it's impressive. We have a few questions here. The first one is that we understand that Bobi Wine is an inspiring candidate for many young people, but can you tell a bit about the policies that he advocates and if he's a part of a larger movement?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Bobi Wine, it is true, he appeals to many young people. One, he's a young person himself. He's not yet 40, so he's still a young person. But secondly, he's been an artist, not just an artist singing anything or advocating for anything, but he has been singing songs that advocate for unity, songs that advocate for a better country, songs that advocate for better security, better education, songs that have been advocating and calling out for integrity to thrive and reduction of corruption. So he has promised and pledged a number of things that resonate with us. As a country, one of the first things that we need to do is to restore term limits. Because however good you are, we have a saying here that even the best dancer leaves the stage. So we need to know when the best dancer will always leave the stage. Even if I became president tomorrow, presidency would be so good, but I would need to live in 10 years or 8 years. The United States, you live in 8 years, or actually 4 years. If you have done well, you continue to the 8th year. So we need the term limits restored. We may not need to restore the age limit maybe, because even if someone came through, they would know that after 10 or 8 years, they would be able to live. However good or however bad, we could endure or enjoy you, and after 10 years, you move. So the term limits will be restored. That is very, very important. He has also promised to reduce on government expenditure. As I speak now, the parliament is being increased every now and then because the president and his team and the government want more people in parliament who will be leaning towards them so that policies can pass, expenditures can be passed, budgets can be passed. So there is need to reduce parliament. Actually, some of them even have nowhere to sit. It is very embarrassing and shaming. So there will be reduction of government expenditure by reducing the number of parliaments. We have so many positions that need to be reduced. We have duplication of positions. A district has a mayor, the municipal councils have mayors, then you have an RDC, then you have an LOC5, then you have a member of parliament. All these people almost have nothing to do. They end up conflicting. So there is need to reduce the number of leaders for each province or each district or each town or municipality to reduce government expenditure. But the mother of all is corruption. There is a lot of leakage in government. There is a lot of leakage. When money is appropriated or allocated for construction of roads, half of the road is constructed, or it is constructed in a poor way. So Bobi Wine and all other opposition members are actually campaigning on the principles of integrity, principles of accountability, principles of transparency. So there is need to reduce corruption. This should have begun yesterday, but here we are still talking about it. So there is need to reduce corruption. There is need to improve meritocracy, people coming into government on merit. For example, people that have studied. For example, we have the Minister of Education of this country is the wife of the president, whose studying is in question. She was not all that intelligent. She was not all that the best to take over as the Minister of Education, but she is the Minister of Education. The brother of the president is the Director of Operation Wealth Creation, a program that receives the biggest budget almost in the budget. So all this needs to change. He has promised to reduce tribalism. We want people to be judged by the content of their character and competence, not because of the tribe, not because of the religion, not because of connections within government, but on competence and merit. That is what he's promising. And he's also promising a fun-filled Uganda where the justice system works, where the security officers, the respect for human rights. So that is a big one, the respect for human rights. In this current government, you are arrested, you are arraigned before court beyond the 48 hours. You are denied access to your lawyers. We have seen the security attack parliament. We have seen the security attack courts of law. All this kind of things, all these need to stop so that we can have a better country, a country where we shall pride ourselves in, where we shall say it is bettering Africa and bettering the world. So he's promising all this through songs, through the campaigns. Even when he's refused to go to the campaign ground, he will deliver this message through a song. He will deliver the message through the online platforms. I think that's why they have been put down. So there is a big promise and there is light at the end of the tunnel with the opposition, but especially with Bobi Wine.
That sounds amazing. I mean, hopefully it will end up that way. If Bobi Wine ends up being elected as a new president, as the situation is now, Museveni has the whole military behind him. Do you think that Bobi Wine will be able to actually control or have power of all the security people and military in the country?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. In our country here, we have among the key forces of security, we have the Uganda People's Defense Forces, which is our army, the army that is supposed to protect our borders and also support on any external attacks, threats. We have the Uganda police, we have the prisons. Those are the ones that are in the constitution. But as I speak, the president has created his own army, which is called the Special Forces Command. And this particular army protects the president, protects the family of the president, and protects, interestingly, our mineral resources, the gold reserves, the oil reserves, and the forests and all this. This is the army that protects them. So it is true that it's a challenge, but within the bigger police force and within the bigger Uganda People's Defense Forces, there are people actually that always vote for change. In the last election, the president actually lost in many barracks. In barracks areas where the soldiers voted, they voted for change, which was so shocking. And recently they were talking about maybe the soldiers not to be part of the voting process. But that shows that within the military, there are also people that are yearning for change. So meaning that when Bobi Wine or any other opposition candidate takes office, certainly these particular people in the security forces should be able to ensure that that there is sanity, there is order, and there is everything is moving well. But what Bobi Wine has also done is to surround himself with people who have also been in the military before, who can support the process. One of them is the retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who was a personal doctor to the president and also part of the army that brought this particular government, in power. Then of course, the former army commander. Yesterday, but one, there was a joint press conference between Bobi Wine, and Mugisha Muntu, who is the former army commander, and the retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. So these certainly will ensure that the army can support change. But we have had a challenge from some army officers actually who have said they are not ready to salute Bobi Wine. But certainly once he becomes president and one is not ready to salute, that becomes treason, and they would be brought to justice. So we are hopeful that once a new president is announced, it will be possible that the army will be able to respect the voice of Ugandans and support the process.
Thank you so much for that answer. Another question is, in the media, Bobi Wine is seen very popular, especially through in the eyes of the youth. But do you think there is a difference in the urban areas and in the more rural areas? Do you think that Bobi Wine is as popular in the more rural areas as he's portrayed in the urban cities?
Yeah, I must say that that is actually one of the reasons why this election is unique. The government has not changed the way it plays its cards and handles its issues. Formerly, the opposition candidates have been restricted into the urban areas because that's where the media has been, and the traditional media, television, radio, and newspapers. But we are in an election where there is new technology that young people are using. For example, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all this. So it has actually made the opposition candidates more visible, and actually forced the incumbent also to try to go onto these social media pages to try to campaign from there. So this new technology has helped to take the message as far as possible. Whereas there is not as much penetration of the technologies in the rural areas as is in the towns, there has been at least reach. And the young people embrace these technologies faster and better than the old people, and get to know how to use them faster and better than the old people. And it is the young people that are the majority. But again, what makes Bobi Wine unique and a very serious contender for this position is because of his music. Music travels in amazing ways. Even in the villages, the small radios are playing his music. CDs and flash discs have made their way to the rural areas. So the message is there. He's not new to the people. And that's why the young people and even the old people have quickly embraced him and his consistency. He's consistent in the way he has been giving his message of unity, of bettering the country. So this has made him popular, more popular in the urban areas, but in new ways, popular even in the rural areas. And this has become a very big problem for the government, which would actually use the rural areas to rig elections, use the rural areas to intimidate people. Now WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter make this a bit very difficult. And also that's why the YouVote application was brought, so that whoever has a smartphone is able to capture a photo of the declaration forms, is able to capture moments of violence, is able to capture, because during the campaigns, as Bobi Wine would be beaten up, his security people intimidated and threatened and bundled up and beaten, all this has been captured. And this has helped in restraining the government from doing perhaps worse. So he's popular in the urban areas more, but that's also where people vote most currently in the Uganda, because the rural people would just be threatened and coerced to vote. But now with this kind of new technology, there's a bit of a balance. So there's hope that the rural areas will vote just as the urban areas will vote as well.
Perfect. Let's hope social media and all internet isn't too badly influenced by the shutdown. One last thing, I know it's very difficult, or is it possible to look into the future, but if you should try and evaluate a bit on the consequences of either outcome of the election, what happens if Bobi Wine wins and what happens if Museveni wins?
Yeah, actually, some people have said that Uganda is not preparing for an election, but Uganda is preparing for the aftermath of the election, because all signs show that the government, without a fear of contradiction, all signs show that the government is ready to rig these elections. From the way the opposition candidates have been handled, from the way Corona has been used against campaigning, cordoning off and preventing candidates from reaching these places, and locking the country down and putting curfew. We still have curfew, even when the Corona process is reducing and the COVID is reducing. And whereas there are cases increasing in some of the parts, but it's being used as an excuse to prevent people from campaigning, prevent candidates, especially Bobi Wine and FDC candidate and Muntu, from moving. So basically the preparation has been for the aftermath, because all signs show that even if Bobi Wine wins, there could be a way to turn these elections for the president. Or even if none of them makes 50+1 votes, which is the mandated kind of vote that should be able to put someone in office, they are planning to make sure that there is 50+1 or 62 or something like that. We see, of course, that is what explains the deployment of the army in the streets already and in the villages to intimidate people and all this. But this particular time, there is a possibility, a very big possibility, that there will be mass protests all over the country, even in the rural areas, to say no and enough is enough. And we hope that these do not take so many lives or do not take any life at all, because there is possibility of the country erupting into violence, whether Museveni wins or Bobi Wine wins. Because if Museveni wins, it will be very clear that he has won because he has cheated. Because all signs show, even if you made an opinion poll, the young people, the old people are all saying that we are ready for change. If Bobi Wine wins and the Electoral Commission announces otherwise, that will also be brewing for trouble. So that is the kind of atmosphere that we are in. We are not very sure of exactly what will happen. We are hoping for peace and a peaceful transfer of power. But if that doesn't happen, there could be violence. Because if just one arrest of Bobi Wine was able to lead to the death of over 50 people and injuries to so many and destruction of property here and there, how about now if he's not declared yet he has rightfully won? There could be, and there are families that have lost loved ones through this campaign period. Many have lost limbs, and there's been a lot of mass arrests. So this is all brewing for trouble and violence, but we hope for a peaceful election. So either whether Museveni is announced or Bobi Wine is announced, there could be a bit of tension and violence, which could come down after the country is either by the opposition leaders asking and calling out for calm, or the president himself restraining from using all the military might that there is on the people of Uganda that he's supposed to protect and lead. So there is a bit of worry, there is a bit of tension, but we are also bold that certainly the very best will come through. Yeah, and there's been a lot of encouragement to urging and encouraging the chairman of the Electoral Commission to be bold enough and confident enough to announce the true winner of the election come either Friday or Saturday when the counting will be through. Because this time round, the cheating is not easy. It's not, it cannot be hidden. There are cameras, there are phones, and everyone is quite alert to see how it will be done. And we are expecting a good outcome. But we hope that the country will stay, people will be alive and well, and peace will prevail.
Yes, let's hope that very much indeed. Thank you, David, so much. I think that was everything we had time for today. And thank you so much for your very well explained explanation about the situation in Uganda. And yeah, let's hope for the very best tomorrow and the following days afterwards. Do you have any last word to say before we end this talk?
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to say thank you to the team in Denmark, Copenhagen, Aarhus, and everyone else that has been able to put this together with the leadership of Mads and Ivanson, Vat Potten, Sign, and everyone else that has supported this process for us to be able to share what is happening in the country. This is very good because I have already made a call for action that everyone out there should be in solidarity with us as Ugandans, because I believe that what affects us today can be moved, if not dealt with properly, can be taken to another place. And yet we are working to make the world a better place. But we are hopeful, we are strong, we are bold and courageous, and hoping for the very best. Please be in solidarity with us. Anything that you can do, there is no contribution that is too small, even just a post and a hashtag on social media calling for peace, calling for integrity, calling for police sanity and not brutality. All that works together to make Uganda better, to make East Africa better, to make Africa better, and eventually make the world a better place. So I thank you, and I am extremely grateful for having had the opportunity to share, and I wish each and everyone well. Certainly we'll be back to celebrate victory, we hope. Thank you. I remain David Nyaribi, Ambassador of Possibilities.
Thank you so much, David. Yes, I hope everything goes well and we cross our fingers for a fair election and the best outcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.